Hey guys, welcome to Cape and Cowl Cafe. I'm Nemo, and today we are going to be doing something very important. Today we will be showcasing and celebrating the many talented artists that we have in this community. Now, more than ever, I think it is so important to recognize that our favorite characters don't come from these big corporations or even these big filmmakers. They come from the talented artists that have the passion and the vision to bring them to life. So anyway, a while ago, I asked you guys to submit your custom Spider-Man designs, and today we will be reviewing them. Am I milking this whole fan art series a little bit? Maybe, but I think it is really important, especially with how much AI has slithered its way into every aspect of our lives. I think it's just important to celebrate the power of human creativity. So let's get started. All right, first up, we have this Spider-Man suit designed by Chris, and this is really reminding me of Nightcrawler, especially with those white gloves and boots. Now, funny enough, Nightcrawler actually did take up the mantle of Spider-Man for a while, becoming the Uncanny Spider-Man. Now, I didn't think I was really going to like this that much, just because the white seems like such an out there choice, especially when you're adding it to elements of the suit like the gloves and boots, but it's kind of working for me, And as far as Spider-Man, suit layouts go, I don't really care if you segment the belt or if you separate the shoulders. Like, as long as you're not doing too much like the Marvel Tocon suit, you're completely fine, okay? I think I would have rather seen the gloves and boots be black, but I have to admit, them being white does give this costume its own personality. So, I don't know, I like this. This is really cool. I like how the logo is kind of upside down too. Nice job. All right, next up, we got this costume designed by Junopunk, and I'm getting some 70s Nicholas Hammond vibes here, especially with those circular lenses. I'm not a huge fan of the orange and blue color scheme. I know, ironic coming from me, but I don't know. I just don't think orange really works for Spider-Man. But I don't know, this is really interesting. The boots are kind of weird. They look like cowboy boots, but with zippers down the front, so that's interesting. I am always going to be a fan of super bulky over-the-wrist web shooters. I think those are so cool. Though, apparently these are fake ones to hide his powers, which is interesting. I like the web cape. I like the layout of the suit. I like how the chest section kind of comes down to a point on the waist. I mean, this is pretty solid. Like, besides the orange, I like this a lot. All right, next up, we got this costume by Ryosu Art, and this one is really interesting because it's like a classic Spider-Man suit while also looking homemade at the same time. Usually you kind of just pick one or the other, but I like how this one blends both of those aesthetics. I love homemade suits. I think that they look super sick. They always have so much charm and personality, like the MCU one or the Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man homemade costume. I don't know, I just think Spider-Man and streetwear, they just go together, It just looks good. So, I mean, I really like this. Honestly, if there was an animated series where he was just wearing this for like the first season, I would love that. This is peak. All right, next up, we have another beautiful piece of art done by Ryosu Art. This time we have a character sheet with a bunch of different character designs. I'm not going to go over every single one of them. I'm just going to talk about some of my favorites. Let's start off with Spider-Man. Not a huge fan of yellow eyes on Spider-Man, but I know a lot of people have some nostalgia for that kind of thing because of Spider-Man Unlimited, so I'll give it a pass. As far as the rest of the suit goes, I don't really care when people split the belt or like the shoulders, like I said before. This is completely fine. I like this layout. The belt kind of reminds me of Batman Beyond, where we have these like capsules that look like they're floating on his waist. I think that's cool. I like the over-the-wrist web shooters. This time they're a dark red, so they're kind of blending into the costume a bit more. I don't know, like this is just a really solid Spider-Man suit. I like it. Then we got Black Cat. Looks like a pretty standard Black Cat costume. Not a huge fan of the glasses look for the mask. Kind of reminds me of that one mask Damian Wayne wore for a while. Just, I don't know, it doesn't really look good when it's separated like that. Doc Ock looks pretty good. I love Shocker. I love the ripped up hoodie. Really gives him like a street boxer kind of look. I don't know, that is just so sick. I like Electro. I feel like you can kind of just do whatever you want with Electro because he is just incredibly inconsistent as a character. We got Sandman with a mustache. We got a really shiny purple and green, Green Goblin. Looks super sick. Not a huge fan of this design for the Lizard. Maybe it's just because the proportions are just so out there. Love Carnage and Venom. I really like it when Carnage has this like really gangly, kind of skinny looking body. Just makes him look even more terrifying. I do not like the green tongue for Venom though. That is disgusting. And then lastly, we have Scorpion or Scorpia. I like this design. I think the green and blue color scheme works well. Kind of reminds me of how Scorpion looked in like, some of the early 2000s video games. The tail looks cool. We got some interesting stingers on the wrist, and it looks like there's like containers attached to her arms that have like venom in them. I don't know. These are all just really solid. Like this looks like a cool character sheet for like an animated series. All right, this next one was sent in by DD, and he did not include any social media accounts, so I'm sorry if you were not being credited properly. I try to make sure that I grab everyone's information, but we have this costume here. I like this. You know, I think this is like a better version of what the Avengers game costume should have been, because in that game, the main issue was that the red section on the chest came down too high, and it made the costume look like it didn't fit him, like it was too small. But here, that issue is solved by having the red thigh patches on the side, so it kind of balances out the red that should have been on that lower half of the costume. Again, I don't care if you take away the belt or whatever. I think this is completely fine. I really like the symbol, actually. I don't know, I like how simple this is, you know? Like, the web lines are kind of faded, they're more subtle. You have a lot of blue on the suit, which I think helps make it look more modern. And we have some very subtle yellow eyes. Not a huge fan of that, but, you know, it's whatever. I like this. All right, next up, we have this costume designed by Gleek96. This looks like Kane Parker, Scarlet Spider, if you had a black and blue color scheme. Or you could say this is like Nightwing mixed with Spider-Man, because we have that blue stripe going all the way down the arm into the fingers. I think this is really cool. I love the shape that the symbol is making, where it kind of goes out into like an X with all the different spider legs. I don't know, this is just really solid. I like the blue lenses. I like the trim on the shoes. This is nice. Nice job. All right, next up, we have this suit designed by Anthony Lee, and you could say this is a run-of-the-mill Spider-Man suit. It's just, you know, a little basic, just the classic red and blue. However, we have a few subtle changes that helps give this suit its own identity. First of which being the really interesting web pattern, where all of the lines kind of meet at the middle of the chest, where we have this diamond-shaped spider symbol. I think that's really interesting, and it helps give the suit a more geometric feel, if that makes sense. I like the blue shading on the lenses. That's not something we get to see very often. Usually they're just always black. And the back symbol is, I don't know, it's a little chunky for my taste, but I still like this overall. The only thing that I'm not really digging is the random jagged kind of points on the bottom of the belt. I feel like that takes away from the shape of the rest of the design. Other than that, good old cartoony Spider-Man. Nice job. All right, next up, we got these 4 Spider-Man suits designed by Abhinav, the artist. Sorry if I butchered that pronunciation, but I like all of these. The first one is probably my least favorite, and that's just because of all the yellow. Just not a fan of yellow on Spider-Man suits. I think he should mostly just stick to red, blue, white, and black. But I don't know, I still like the really thrown together streetwear homemade vibe that this thing has. I like the belt, I like the web shooters. I just don't like the yellow web wings. I think that's a little too much, you know? He's like pissing from his armpits. I really like the second one. This is so unique. So instead of having the red sections just continue down the arms like and into the gloves, we have red webbing that has been superimposed over the blue sections. That's actually something new that I've never seen before. I think that's really unique. And I love the fingerless glove look. I'm not sure about the red webbing on the legs, but I suppose if you're going to do it on the arms, you know, you kind of have to do it somewhere else on the suit to kind of balance out that look. And the black suit is, well, the black suit, you know, we've seen it a million times. I do appreciate you keeping it simple here though, because that's half the charm of the black suit. It's simplicity, you know, like it's just nice to look at. And the last suit here is just so classic looking, though we have a few changes that kind of switch up the look a little bit. We have those red stripes going down the legs. I'm not a huge fan of that, but I do like how the blue sections on the arm go all the way down to the palms of his hands. I think that's really interesting, and I like it when people experiment with the gloves a bit. We have some cool web fluid capsules just spread everywhere throughout the suit, and I like the idea that they're just kind of accessible on like every part of his body, so that no matter what pose he's in while he's like, you know, flying through the air, he's always able to reach a web fluid capsule and just refill. I think that's cool. Though I will admit they do look a little bit odd being wrapped around his ankles there. But I mean, I just really like how this piece of art shows us the progression of Peter's costume throughout the years. And, you know, his first 2 costumes have like exposed web shooters, but then maybe after he encounters the symbiote, he really likes the idea of keeping them a little more hidden. And so he updates that in his 20s suit right there. I don't know, it's just really cool. Nice job. All right, next up, we got this design created by Freeze Lizard over on Twitter, and this is just like the Ben Reilly Sensational Spider-Man suit on crack, which I love because I love the Sensational suit, but I can't tell if this one is doing too much. We have these vertical lines that go all the way down to his feet, and I feel like you need something in the middle of the suit to break it all up, you know? Like if he had some kind of belt or something, I think that would very much improve this design. but it's just a little line heavy. But I do like the idea of a costume having more blue than red because it just makes it look more sleek, especially if you've added all of these nice sleek highlights to the blue sections. It just looks good. So I really like the idea that is, being presented here with these vertical lines just kind of going all the way down the suit, from his wrist all the way down to his feet. I just think that there needs to be something else to break it all up a little bit, because then it kind of makes him look a little too stretched out, if that makes sense. But still, nice job. And like, this art style is really cool too. I dig this a lot. All right, next up, we got this costume designed by Red Panda, and this one's really interesting because it reminds me of like some of those alternate action figures you would see created for a movie where they're kind of just like switching things up for the sake of, like some kind of, toyetic gimmick where like, oh, this Spider-Man comes with like a big blaster or something. I don't know. This kind of just reminds me of that. I like how we have a symbol on like the side of his chest, almost like how Robin's logo is. I was just like on one of his pecs. I think that's cool. You got a little web line, so it's like the spider's hanging there. I like the belt. I like the spider signal in the middle of the belt. I love the exposed web shooters, and the light blue gloves are interesting because they kind of clash with the dark blue, but it's not something that I, necessarily, dislike. I think it looks good here. I like the silver lenses. I'm not sure about the holsters. I don't know what that would be for. Maybe it's for the big blaster I was just talking about, but overall, I think this is just a really solid, fun, alternate design. Nice job. All right, next up, we have a returning artist from some of the other videos, that being Talon M. Newton, and here we have his modernized Spider-Man design. One thing that I really like about this is the blue shading on the symbol and the lenses. Now, usually with Spider-Man suits, we're just used to black, on the lenses and black on the symbol. But I don't know, it's kind of reminding me of like the Matte Fraction Jorge Jimenez Batman suit where we have blue on the symbol instead of black. I think that's just something cool that we've been seeing more in a lot of modern superhero designs where it's almost more monochromatic, where it's just red and blue. There's really nothing else going on except for the lenses. I think that is super sick. But also, like, this art style is just insane. This is really reminding me of some of Dan Mora's artwork. Like, this is just so good. I could very easily see you becoming one of like the greatest comic book artists, honestly. Like, your stuff is so refreshing. Keep going, please. All right, next up, we have this costume designed by Uthman XD Fire, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the hair, okay? Like, I don't think exposed hair really works for Spider-Man. It works for Kid Flash, but no, like, not here. And that goes for both Peter and Miles. I don't like it on either of them. But I will say, if you take away the hair, I really like what's going on here. I like the dark, gray, messy webbing. I like the exposed web shooters, and I like how the red sections of the suit kind of form the symbol, like it's not just a red section and then a symbol is slapped on top of it. Like, the suit is the symbol. I always think that's so cool. I don't know, this is like a really cool, like, kind of dark, almost evil looking Spider-Man. I like this a lot. Nice job. Okay, this next one comes from Ultra Nerd on Discord. I really love this layout. I love the idea of adding black to a costume that already has black, but you just like add more of it, and it just gives it like a more modern kind of, darker look. I love the fingerless glove look. Again, we have the red sections kind of forming the symbol instead of just having a symbol slapped on the costume. I like the big lenses, but again, I just love how much black is on this. Like, it's kind of like that one Superboy costume or that one Wally West Flash suit that has like the more black on it. I just think that is such a cool idea. I like this a lot. And next up, we have the Power Suit Mark II by RA. This one is just another cool streetwear looking homemade Spider-Man costume, but instead of just being like a hoodie and sweatpants, this is like a one-piece onesie suit. So it still has that streetwear vibe, but it's a real costume. I like the red and black color scheme. I like the white symbol on the side of the chest. Not a huge fan of the stripes going down the legs, but it definitely works more for this suit just because of like the kind of layout we're going for. Having no webbing on a suit is also really interesting, but again, it just works here. Like, this is just a really solid design. I dig this a lot. Like, honestly, if you had a third spider person, like after Miles, there's a lot of spider people, but like if you had a third main spider person after Miles and you wore a suit like this, I think this would really fit into the universe. And next up, we have this costume designed by Dog with Sunglasses. That's a very fun username. But this is just kind of reminding me of the Future Foundation suit, but with a lot more blue. And I think the blue makes everything here pop a lot more. I like the blue lenses. I love the spider symbol. And the cool thing about this is the spider symbol is the suit, because if you look at the legs, they extend all the way down the arms, all the way down the legs. And it's just really cool. I like this a lot. Nice job, man. Okay, next up we have this Spider Nemo designed by me and Superior Silk Spider VR, but you know, he drew it, so he should get all the credit. This is just so sick. I love the idea of like the black kind of face shading on the center of the face, kind of like in Spider-Man Unlimited. A little hard to translate that into a realistic setting, but I think, you know, he did a good job here. I really like the N on the belt. I love the idea of like the half boots, you know, because a lot of people, they want to add color to the lower half of Spider-Man, and what they usually do is they just add a stripe going down his waist all the way down, you know, to his feet. And I think that just never really looks that good, but the half boot from the Sensational suit looks so good. And we have some like Nightwing stripes going down the arms and, you know, just like the 2 middle fingers. I think that is sick. Obviously, I'm biased towards the suit, and I know I was just saying earlier that orange doesn't work for Spider-Man, but like this one's me, so like it's different, you know? So anyway, go check him out on YouTube. He makes some pretty cool stuff, and like all of his art is just peak. So nice job, bro. Okay, next up, we got this Spider-Man Daredevil amalgamation costume by Mechatoons, and I think there's a lot more Daredevil here than Spider-Man. Like, we have the big buggy lenses, and they do look a little bit uncanny on like a half mask like this, but I still like everything else with the suit. Like, the logo's super cool. We have the double D logo kind of mirrored, and then we have the spider legs added to it. That's super sick. The black and red layout already kind of looks like the King Daredevil suit, which is my personal favorite Daredevil suit. So, like, obviously I'm gonna love this. This is just so cool. I love, you know, costumes like this where they mix 2 different characters into one. Really reminds me of like the Ben 10 Alien Fusion Lab, you know, back in the day. Like, that was just so peak. I love this. Nice job. All right, next up, we got this costume designed by Enjo601 on Twitter. This Spider-Man looked like he was ripped straight out of an anime. And the one thing that I have to compliment first about this is the eyes. Like, the lenses look so angry and so badass. Like, I love the shape here. Now, the rest of this costume it's different. It's very different. And I think this looks like a more spider-looking version of the Iron Spider suit. Like, the Iron Spider suit from the comics is very much just Iron Man with Spider-Man lenses and a symbol, but there's no webbing on the costume. And so this one is just like a cool alternate version of what that suit could have been. So we have a lot more black here on the top section. We have some black on the legs and the arms. It feels wrong. It feels wrong to have webbing on the entire torso just because we're really not used to that. But I like how much this costume is challenging the idea of what a Spider-Man costume should be, because it's just doing so many things differently. I like this a lot. This goes super hard. All right, next up, we got this guy. I can't pronounce your name, but I really want to feature your art because it is awesome. So I'm just going to put your name on the screen here. Sorry about that, but this looks amazing. It really reminds me of the notebook drawings from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1 when Peter's designing his suit. I love the fingerless gloves. I love the symbols, especially the one on the back. I just love the shape. It just looks so menacing. And speaking of menacing, I love the eyes. You know, those shape for the lenses is just perfect. Really fits an older, you know, kind of more grizzled Spider-Man. I don't know what it is with you guys and stripes on the sides of the legs, but I guess I'm just going to have to get with the program because I did not realize how popular that design choice was. But I just have to finish off by talking about that picture on the left of just his face where we have that really dark black shaded section in the middle of his face. It really reminds me of Spider-Man Unlimited. It just looks so good. And that is what I was going for when I was designing my suit with Superior Silk Spider VR, you know, from earlier. This is the look that I wanted because that is just peak. And last up, we have another Spider-Man suit by Junopunk. Totally forgot about this one while I was going through some of the emails, but I like this one. This one is called the Mutant Spider-Man, so I'm assuming this is like a universe where Peter is actually a mutant, which is a really cool idea. Again, we have another homemade looking streetwear Spider-Man costume. I like this one a lot more than some of the others that we've seen so far. It just has everything I like, okay? I love red and black color schemes, and here we have like red and a really dark gray. I love the big buggy silver lenses. I love the fingerless gloves, the exposed web shooters. We got a really cool utility belt. I love the back logo. It's just like this faded white spider kind of hanging from a web. So unique. We have a little web cape there. That's pretty cool. And it looks like the Spider-Man can shoot like stingers from his wrists, but it looks like he can't do that at the same time as like the webs. But yeah, like I'm digging this, you know? I like this one a lot more than the other one that you submitted. This one is just so peak. Nice job. All right, that is going to be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it all, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button. and the hype button, and comment down below your favorite suit from today's video. If you would like to submit your custom Spider-Man design for a future part in this series, you can do so at capeandcowlcafesubmissions@gmail.com, and make sure to please tag the social you want credited. Also, just a small disclaimer, if your artwork does not make it into one of these videos, please do not take it personally, okay? I get thousands of submissions through email, and I simply just cannot feature everyone. I wish I could. You guys are all so talented, but I can't. So please don't take it personally. Anyway, that's it. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.